in her PhD. So we usually try to do what we try to do on Saturdays with Sourish is that we usually try to interweave between students who are kind of primarily your community, and we also try to bring in people who are having more experience and who have gone through the journey and who would now be who would be giving you with more sort of tips and tricks of the trade. So tonight we have Harshita Sahijwani. She is a PhD student in computer science at Emory University. And she is right now just about to submit her research proposal, right, Harshita? So just to give a very brief kind of a background of how I know Harshita. So Harshita used to be my undergrad student at my university. That's the Dhirubhai Ambani Institute of Information and Communication Technology. And we used to do some really exciting work at the very early stages of Rax, and when everything was from scratch, and we tried so many interesting things to do that were some really crazy days and nights that we spent together. And after that, Harshita went on to do her PhD, and she went to US, and she finally landed up at Emory in one of the very prominent NLP labs that's doing some very, very good research in dialogue systems. So I would like to give a very warm welcome to Harshita and to accepting the invitation. Thanks a lot, Harshita, for that. And what we are going to do. So what we are going to do is that, Harshita, if you could just give us a little bit of background of exactly what you are doing right now at Emory University, and also then we will go at all the different things, because today's theme is primarily about internship, how one should be choosing an internship, why internships are so important in one's PhD, and how to even go about it, but at the same time how to balance everything out so that you're not also jeopardizing or it doesn't impact your PhD as well, your PhD research as well. So how to go about it. So we will talk about all those things tonight. But before that, Harshita, if you can just give us a little bit of a background of what you're currently doing at Emory.
Sure. Hi everyone. So just like Sourish sir said, I'm a fourth year PhD student at Emory. I'm hoping to submit my thesis proposal in spring. So far, what I've mainly been doing is working on different research projects, just trying to see like what would be a good fit for me to pursue for my thesis, and just getting to learn how to do research. Getting to know the literature, getting to learn how to frame a problem, write it well, how publication works, and so on and so forth, which I did learn a bit of during undergrad, but not so much. And so I didn't come into my PhD program with the goal of working on dialogue systems, but that is what ended up happening. For my first year, I explored a little bit of recommender systems and search where you incorporate user behavior information. So those are areas which have a lot of research on them already. So that's where I started. And then my lab, like everyone in my lab and my advisor, they wanted to participate in the Alexa Prize. They already had once before, and then they were gonna again.
Can you explain the Alexa Prize a little bit, Harshita? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So the Alexa Prize is this contest which is hosted by Amazon every year. This will be the fourth time it's being conducted. And the challenge is just like they invite university teams to apply, and every team has to try and make the best chatbot. So that's basically basically a version of Alexa which can engage the user for a long time. So the grand challenge is that you engage the user for 20 minutes on an average. So the team which does that gets like $1 million, but the grand challenge is really hard to accomplish. Like the current best that any team has achieved is sort of close to 11 minutes or so on an average. So if no one wins the grand prize, then they
So
award
11
the.
minutes is 11 minutes of meaningful dialogue.
Yes, meaningful dialogue. I mean, meaningful is sort of a subjective metric, but it was coherent and the user did not get bored and leave, and the bot did not stop making sense completely, is basically what it means. So there could have been points where maybe it made mistakes, but it wasn't bad enough for the user to just completely quit. So yeah, the evaluation metric is a bit subjective at this point. But yeah, so if no one wins the 20-minute challenge, then they award the top three teams who did the best on user ratings and the amount of time and so forth. So yeah, so my lab was participating in this challenge, and I just they invited me to join because I did have some experience in NLP, and I was like a decent programmer. So that's how I got involved for the first time in dialogue systems. It was a combination of engineering and like trying to do research in this online setting where we were constantly so Alexa Prize allowed us to deploy our bots to real like Alexa users. Like whenever a person said let's chat to Alexa, they'd be redirected to one of the contest bots. So that was like a unique experience to do some research in the online setting. Like we could see like we could compare different algorithms and see like how actual users are responding as opposed to using some offline metric. That made it all the more exciting. And then it's a new field, right? So you don't, like, while you're working in dialogue systems, you don't often feel like the things you want to try have already been tried. So that was another thing that drew me to it more than I was drawn to like problems in traditional IR. So yeah, that's how I ended up in like the larger area I'm working in. And since then, I did an internship at Microsoft, and then I went back next year for like with the same team for another internship, although that one was remote, so maybe not as productive as like it should have been, but it was still a nice experience. And we also participated in Alexa Prize again. We wrote some stuff based on the Alexa Prize findings from the first time. So this is sort of where I'm at right now. Like I have a bit of experience with dialogue systems and like a relatively diverse set of projects. Like I worked on entity linking, I worked on recommending news, and just a few other smaller components that were just useful for our bot in the contest. So, and I'm slowly now narrowing down to. I realize that I'm less interested in the social aspect of bots and more in sort of goal-oriented conversations. So, some of the challenges still remain. Like you still need to understand what the user said. You still need to give out correct and relevant information. But it's all moving towards a goal as opposed to just keeping the user engaged. So that's sort of where I'm converging on with my thesis topic. And for now, I'm working on a project with Procter and Gamble where they're trying to make whenever they have a new client, they try to understand their skincare needs and recommend products. But right now they do it through like a series of forms, which tends to be like really the people get bored filling it up, and then their answers stop being really useful because they're not paying attention. So they want to make the experience easier by converting it into a conversation. So that's what I'm currently working on and hoping to propose my thesis along the lines of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Great. So Harshita, I think many people would be very interested to know because there will be more people who would actually watch this video after we are done. So that's
Right.
usually what happens.
Mhm.
And many of them are actually students who are at the very early stage of their PhD, and then there are also many people who are thinking about doing their PhD, right? And I'm pretty sure there will be good number of people who are having that dilemma as to like if they're an undergrad student, that whether they should be straight away jumping into PhD or whether they should work somewhere or whether they should do a master's and then go into a PhD and so on and so forth. You know, all those undergrad students who are who have started getting some flavor of research and who have started liking it. So I would like to get a little bit from like the story behind your entering into a PhD program straight from your undergrad program, right? So if you can tell a little bit about that.
Sure. I mean, I would say like the way I ended up in a PhD program is different from like everyone else in my cohort who mostly did get a
Mhm.
master's, and then they did have a really clear idea of what they wanted to do. And then they came for their PhD. So, I mean, there were undergrads, so it's not like I was the only one, but it's like in my cohort at Emory, it was relatively rare. So it I initially did feel like like in the minority and like maybe not ready for what I signed up for. But anyway, so I started. Working in NLP in I think my sophomore year in undergrad. So
Mhm.
like Sourish sir used to be our professor for object-oriented programming. So me and a couple of my friends, we just approached him, and like we had this really long summer break and we didn't have an internship or anything. So we just approached him and asked him like, do you have like a problem for us to work on? And it didn't even at that time need to be a research problem. We were just like, anything that helps us become better programmers or just teaches us something new. So that was when like he assigned us this problem where we had to convert like numbers written as text into actual numbers. So like
Mhm.
557, we just had to parse it to 557, and just try to handle like as many cases of that as possible. So yeah, that's how I got interested in like I did a bit of background reading on what all NLP has. We used like the Stanford library as our as like one of the libraries we relied on. So we took advantage of the pause tags and parse tree and just used that to write like a rule based algorithm to do this task. So yeah, that was nice. That was fun, and we continued. Like that was the time of the like the inception of Rigby. Like I guess it had already happened a bit because you had
Mhm.
written the paper on like the ontology and like trying to uh, c-
Mhm.
uh, do document matching. But that was the time when like more and more people from like my
Mhm.
undergrad, we were getting involved into the project. We had a relatively large team, and like all of us were working on something on the other for the product. So yeah, that was sort of where most of my research exposure happened. It was in the context of trying to build a product. So I did learn like some of the valuable skills for research, like how to go about understanding a problem and like
Right.
not reinventing the wheel, and just proceeding in an organized manner and solving it. But I also didn't end up learning a lot about like how traditional academia works, right? So
Mhm.
it was a yeah, it was like it was enough exposure for me to know that I enjoyed research, but still I would say not enough for me to not be daunted once I went into a PhD program. So So yeah, that's how yeah. So I worked on like more projects for Rigby. Specifically, we had this document matching algorithm called SimDoc for like just finding related documents to a research paper.
Right.
Like that was like that used to power Rigby's like literature recommender. Then
Yeah, long back. Yes.
it's now. Yeah, so that, and then for my Btec project, that's a big project you do in the final semester at my college. Like I tried to like build a user profile based recommender for papers, so like a
Mhm.
personalized version of the recommender that we had. So yeah, that was my research exposure. I liked the area and I applied for a PhD. I luckily got in.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, after
So
getting
when?
uh,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
getting
Continue.
in was like a whole a different story. But yeah, it's pretty
So,
exciting to get in and
mhm.
yeah,
So when was the time point when you started? While you were in the PhD program, when was the time point when you started feeling that internship is important?
um, to be honest, like I like my goal, not my goal, like my desire for doing an internship did not stem from exactly furthering my career so much as just wanting to go back to the industry for some time because like after a year in my PhD program, I started to feel uh, I don't know. I frankly miss being in the industry
Mhm.
because the way I was used to research being done was for like with the end goal of making it into a product, right? Which wasn't
Mhm.
happening
Mhm.
at Emory, and although that's perfectly normal and it should not have. I mean, there was no reason for me to look at it negatively, but I still did. Like, so one of the first things worked on was like my colleague in my lab. He created this search engine for medical documents for a different lab. So we collaborated with some folks in Texas, and they wanted this search engine made, and then he made the algorithm and a prototype for them.
Okay.
And, my job was like just as a project to get started with. My advisor told me that why don't you? They've sent us some user feedback data, so why don't you work on incorporating that into the algorithm he already has, and just see if we use that as weak supervision. Just like does the model do better. So that was my project, and so I looked at the data, and it was kind of
Mhm.
messy. And I had this YouTube for some reason. I had this utopian uh, imagination of academia. Like I thought, obviously at Rigby, our research was sort of in parallel with making the product, but
Mhm.
here all they do is research. So obviously they're a lot more organized and everything's clean and nice, and it obviously wasn't because. I mean, research is research. There's always the data is always going to be messy. You're always going to have challenges in
Mhm.
user biases and things like that. So I went at it a bit too qualitatively. Like I looked at the
Mhm.
data and I tried running the algorithm with it, and I was like, first of all, I noticed it was too sparse and noisy. Like mostly it was the first document being clicked, so it wasn't necessarily uh, useful like signals. Maybe it was just mostly noise. And I did do a preliminary run, like not a very scientifically thorough experiment, but I saw and it was not encouraging at all. So I just
Mhm.
went to my advisor and I'm like, this is useless. Like, we don't really need to do this. And he was like, no, like your job is to, understand what's going on. Like, and he was like, did you calculate
Right.
any numbers? Like, did you plot where the clicks are to like to be able to show that there actually is bias, and like did you cross validate your when you ran the model to see like the claim is actually true. And like he had to remind me that the goal was to just understand what's going on and report it, and not try to
Mm-hmm.
fix the search engine for that team.
Mm-hmm.
So so I mean that was fine, and like I was just supposed to learn from it, but yeah, that just completely, like, because that was the first project I did. I was like, oh no, I mean, so everything's installed, and like I'm just gonna spend 5 years of my life just trying to measure small incremental progress. And yeah,
So,
yeah, like I'm sorry.
so your decision, will it be wrong to say that because you were used to a certain way of doing research, which is very, very product driven, and very agile,
Yeah.
so to say, if you have to call agile research within the erstwhile Rigby,
Yes.
and when you went over there and you saw a very different whole perspective because it's not a product driven research, and that's probably made you to think that, hey, why don't I just go to industry and have a taste of that, what's
Yes.
going on. Okay, right.
Yeah.
When you were, so while choosing the internship, like what kind of internship you want, because there were so many opportunities out there. So where was it? Was it driven by a particular strategy or something that, okay, this is the kind of internship that I would be going forward with, or did somebody help you out on that?
Uh, I did have some advice on like from like other members of my lab and
Mhm.
my advisor. So, but my advisor did tell me to not have like really high expectations, because I was still a second year PhD student with
Mhm.
a couple papers, but like a lot of people have more. So like landing a research internship was hard. And but he and it wasn't just my idea to get an internship. My advisor actually encouraged it, and like really in fact insisted on it, because
Mhm.
he did believe that if you're headed for the industry, which I more or less was, he said you need to know like what it's like, and you need to know people,
Right.
connect is important, learning how it works is important. So so yeah, he encouraged it. He offered to like write a letter if I needed it, and he offered to make like connections if I wasn't getting an interview. So I had all that. And but there was one point where things looked really bleak, because I wasn't getting any interviews from all the places I applied to. So
Mhm.
like slowly as I went along, I became more open to like just any internship that I could get. But luckily, because of my Alexa Prize experience, so I applied to multiple teams at Microsoft, and some of them
Mhm.
were like not. I wasn't good enough for them,
Mhm.
but this particular team at Microsoft, which worked on conversational search at Bing, like their work really aligned with everything I'd done for Alexa. So. Uh, and like that was the type of internship I did really want, even though I like lost hope to some extent. They worked in the context of a product, but they did do
Mhm.
really interesting research related to what I like. So
Mhm.
yeah, that worked out. And
So, in retrospect, if you look at it, and if you would like to give some tips or advices to a lot of our students, in our community who would like to go for who are definitely thinking about internship, what would be in retrospect, how would you have done it differently if because now you're more experienced than at that time? And what kind of suggestion or advice would you or tips would you give?
So, like based on what I experienced, I would say first of all, don't get disheartened easily because
Mhm.
it is a competitive market. So you won't be getting like at least I didn't get lots of interviews. Like I had four in total out of like maybe 50 places I applied to. So. So yeah, it does take a bit of resilience. I would say
But the first point is that you do have to apply to a lot of places. That's the
yes.
first point. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You should. And I would say don't be picky while you're applying. I mean, just even if it's a role that you don't necessarily want, but it looks like you could be a good fit for it, just apply and just interview if obviously you can because firstly it's good practice. I mean, interviewing is something that a lot of us aren't naturals at, and you just
Mhm.
get better with experience. That's just how it is. So uh, the next piece of advice is to interview as much as you can, even if you're not necessarily interested in the company. I don't say this in a way that like I don't
Mhm.
mean to suggest like it's okay to waste someone's time. It's not. But if you feel like it's a 50-50, like you're not sure about that place, maybe actually interviewing and getting to know them will change your mind. And it also exposes you to the types of opportunities that are there. Like I wasn't so sure of getting an ML engineer role, and I didn't even clear the interview actually because I don't have the required skills. But I did get to learn like the type of work they do. And had I had that been what I'm interested in, the interview like gave me the knowledge to know like what are the gaps in my skills that I need to fill. So it's always good to get to know what positions are out there. Like maybe you like one of them and you can start preparing towards that for your full time role.
Mm.
So that's another one. The third thing is uh, like uh, like it always helps to at least in the United States to like actually reach out to a recruiter and try
Mhm.
to help them let them help you navigate the hiring process. So like the whole cycle from like your resume reaching the correct team and then
Mm.
reaching out to you for an interview, it's a lot smoother and quicker with a recruiter in the process as opposed to like applying online and just waiting for them to reach out. Although like with my Microsoft internship I did not need to go through a recruiter because like the profile itself was a good match, and uh, they just happened to actually manually see it because
Mhm.
yeah,
So
it was.
can, so can you just elaborate, Harshita, on the recruiter thing? Like if somebody is interested and somebody that have never done that, how to approach I mean, how does it work? The system, the channel.
Right. So it's mostly just sort of cold emailing and just reaching out to people on LinkedIn. So it seems pushy and like you're imposing, but because it's a recruiter, they are
Mm.
used to people,
Yeah,
approaching them and
they're
asking.
expecting it.
Yeah, they're expecting it exactly. So and a lot of them won't. So like for every company I was interested in, I just tried adding a couple recruiters from that company on LinkedIn. And some of them were more conservative in like who they talk to, so some of them wouldn't respond, but a lot of them would. So
Mm.
the ones who did, I'd just send them my resume and I'd be like, if they're like, this is the position I'm interested in. So, like,
Mhm.
if you think I'm a good fit, like, could you, pass on my resume? And sometimes you don't even directly have to say that. You just write anything with a resume attached, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll put
Mhm.
it in the system, and like someone will get back to
Mhm.
you. So that was something I started doing really late, but I should have done it like off the bat because uh,
Okay.
yeah. And also like because of Alexa price, like I did know one recruiter in person. Like there was this event where they invited all the teams, and the recruiter was just handing out her contact. She
Mm.
was like, if you ever want to apply. So
So,
if you have access to, like, if you have career fairs in your college, which mine doesn't,
mhm.
but if you have that, or if you've met a recruiter, that's even better, like, because
So,
um,
so, um, so one thing that comes out of this conversation is that you're trying to align what you have already done, or your current achievements, or whatever comes out best in whatever you have done in recent times. Whatever you are proud of, whatever project you are proud of, and you're trying to align that with. If you are able to align that with a particular kind of internship, then the chances will definitely go up in terms of the response and getting an interview, and then the the road ahead.
that's true.
Uh, right. And but there is another aspect to it, because the current discussion is about internship within the PhD program. So you are also kind of have started, let's say you are in a position where you have started with a research question. So your research question has sort of, if not totally defined, but sort of defined, and at least the boundary, or the perimeter in which you will be doing the research has been sort of defined. And at that time point, this is where the tricky question is, where, how do you align uh, your current research, whatever you are doing, with an internship, and how much does that matter really, first of all. And like, as an example, if I'm doing a very short internship, let's say 2-month internship or 3-month internship, versus if I'm doing a longer internship, uh, and how, because the time when I'm doing my internship, I'm not really able to totally focus on my research problem, or the research question, the academic research, in my PhD. So how to balance that? Is there, what do you think, looking back, or
um right. So let's start with, like, whether or not even it's important to try
Mhm.
to align your research during your internship
Mhm.
with your
Mhm.
research in your academic research. So, so I did two internships at Microsoft, right? And I had a different goal in mind for both of them. So with my first internship, when my manager asked me, like, what do you hope to get out of this internship? And I just said, I just want to be useful to your team. Like, just let me do something which you would normally make an employee do, because the goal was exposure at that point, right? I wanted to see how that goes. So that was not going to be useful for my academic research.
Mhm.
And I think that's okay. Like, if there's something, like, something that you really want to know to be able to make certain decisions about your career, or even to pick a research topic, like, if you feel like there's
Mhm.
something you want to explore and you're not sure if you want it to be a part of your academic research, like, even peripherally,
Right.
but I think you should go for it. I don't think it should be a focus to, stay laser focused on what you've already decided you're gonna do. I mean, yeah. So there's certainly advantage to exploring, but also
How long was that internship? For
3 months.
how 3 months?
Yeah,
Okay. Mm.
12 weeks, so a bit less, but yeah. Um, yeah, right. But also, like, once that internship was starting to get over and, like, everyone was presenting what they did, I
Mhm.
also saw all the other interns, like, having done, like, good, all academic style research, and they
Mhm.
had these papers at I mean, they were submitting papers to really good conferences with
Mhm.
all these really good researchers at Microsoft, right? So I kind of like saw the value in doing that too. I was like, maybe doing that was the right thing. It would have, and yeah, this was also something I learned while my time at Microsoft. Like I could actually see the impact your publication record has on your career, which I
Mhm.
honestly was, I honestly underestimated. Like I just thought publications are necessary to, you know, submit your thesis, get a PhD, and then that's it. But obviously, it matters like what you've done, where you've published it,
Yeah.
so that's yeah so yeah, that was another thing that helped. Like it was a good thing that I at least learned that uh, at the end of my second year in PhD, but also something I wish I had known sooner. So now that I did know that, when I went back to Microsoft again for an internship, I did tell
Mhm.
my manager that, I do want to do something that's actually useful to my thesis. So, and then so he got like an additional mentor for that internship for me. So he was my research
Mhm.
mentor, and this time I was responsible for doing both. Like I still needed to do research which was relevant to the product, but I could focus on like trying to get a paper out if I could. So
So when
right.
you, yeah, yeah, continue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I posed the same question to my research mentor at the time. I asked him like, what should I do? It was still
Yeah.
like open to me, like what problem to pick. So he said like, you don't like, because like Microsoft is technically going to own your work. It doesn't directly go into your thesis anyway. Like because most universities, at least my university, has this rule that I need to have done that work while on a grant from or some sort of funding from
Right.
Emory for it to count. So he
Right,
said
right,
like,
right. In most almost all universities would have that requirement, at least the requirement that intellectual property should not be owned by somebody else. That's right.
right. So yeah, so it was summer. I wasn't even being funded by Emory at the time. Like they cut you off if you have another funding source which
Mhm.
pays you well. So his advice was to like he said, just do whatever you like, try something new, and like it helps you have a diverse profile, so it helps you
Mhm.
when you're applying for jobs. And he said he himself he's a really accomplished researcher. Like he recently
Mhm.
graduated, but he's really good. So he said like that's what he did. Like every summer when he interned, he wrote some paper which was on a different topic, but then after he came back, he wrote another paper related to his own academic, like for his own academic research, which used some of the ideas which he discovered while he was at the internship exploring that other area.
Mhm.
So uh yeah, it definitely helps. You should, like, it's good to target, publishing and like furthering your own academic research, but uh I don't think deviating a bit from the exact topic is a bad idea, because it does open you up to new ideas and new approaches. And
Right.
um yeah.
Right. So, but there's this also this question about the stage of research in which you are in, right? So, usually, if you look at it from a US system point of view, and even in other systems, maybe the pre-qualifying stage is not present in other non-US kind of system. But you have the pre-qualifying stage, and then you have the pre-comprehensive stage, right? And then you have the post comprehensive stage, and then you have finally the thesis writing stage, and then the defense and job hunting and all those things, right? So this is how usually the PhD stages are all everywhere almost. And so long as your problem is not very crisply defined, your research question, I think you know internship in some sense can also help you in defining the question,
That's true.
right? These sort of internships. But what happens, let's say that, what's your opinion, your personal opinion about, to say that once you are done with the comprehensive, which means that you now have a very specific research question to investigate further, right? So you're pretty much into the road, in the middle of the road. And at that time point, uh, what's your personal opinion about going for an internship?
My personal opinion, I guess you would agree as well. Like it is that like once you've already started narrowing down on a thesis topic, and
Mhm.
I mean there is a bit of time pressure. I mean, it's a choice between devoting a summer to complete something completely different or just making your thesis better. And I am right now inclining towards the latter. So this year I haven't been applying to internships as I would say. Like I haven't applied to many places because I now know like this is just not gonna help me further in my career, and like it doesn't apply to my thesis at all. So
Right.
definitely, if you've already narrowed down to a thesis topic, you and like I'm assume like it's I think it's reasonable to assume that if you've all if your topic has been narrowed down, you probably have done some work in that topic as well because you're further ahead in your PhD, and like you will be able to get internships that you might not have gotten before because your skills also are now a bit more specific. So yeah, once you're past the exploration stage, unless your goal is to like build contacts at a particular company which say you really want to join at, you might like it might be worthwhile to spend some time going there working on something else and coming back and doing your thesis. But I'm personally leaning towards not doing that. I think I don't know. For this summer, I don't think I'm gonna be taking up an internship that doesn't isn't like very nicely aligned with my thesis. I would say, but again, that's a personal opinion. Um, uh, so Sir seems to have dropped off. Would anyone like to, you know, ask questions or something? We'll just wait. Otherwise, I hope he didn't completely lose his connection.
Okay. So sorry, guys. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, there's some issues going on today with my internet. So extremely sorry. Yeah. So that's one. But there's another aspect to internship, which is actually how much can we, you know, when we look into our future career goals, and so the alignment of an internship with a future career goal, kind of like if we think that this is where we want to go to, and for that, if I do this sort of internship, then this will help me to, to achieve certain kind of career goals. And for a PhD student, a career goal will be essentially the kind of job that you would want after your PhD is done. So, was there something like that, or if it wasn't something like that, because you said that when you did your first internship, there was nothing like that, right? So, when you went for the second internship, let's say it's the second time when you went to Microsoft, was there anything like that in your mind that, probably this time I would do it in a way that would help me, apart from the publication part and, getting publications out of the work, but any other kind of a way, a strategy in which you wanted to align, because you wanted to go back to the same team, I guess, right? So was that a deliberate, deliberate strategy in when it comes to the future career?
It was a little bit, yes. Uh, I found, like, during my first internship that people with PhDs
Uh-huh.
had different kinds of roles at Microsoft. So like, I was a part of Bing, right? So a lot of people in Bing are people with PhDs, but they lead product teams. So their job is to both, try to obviously maintain the product and make it better, and also they're leading, they're mentoring, like, their teams to do research, to do that, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's one type of a role you can have as someone with a PhD at Microsoft. And you could work in Microsoft research. So I was an intern under Microsoft research, but I was working with people in Bing, so it was like a dual thing. But I
Uh-huh.
could go to, like, talks and events from MSR, where that would just be like researchers at Microsoft
Uh-huh.
just talking about their research. And like, when they had interns, the interns would also do that. Like, they just work
Okay.
whatever topic they liked under that mentor. And yeah, so although, like, I preferred the product setting in
Uh-huh.
my, like, current state, I did find the idea of working as an independent researcher at MSR appealing as well, just because of the freedom it gives you. And you always
Yeah,
have the option.
MSR gives you a lot of freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, so you always have the option of collaborating with a product if you want, and if you don't want to do that, you can do that as well. So that was like a type of role which I would like to have in the future. So yeah, that was one reason I did want to,
But a
you
lot
know,
of times it is also true, Harshita, that at a very early stage when you would want to go for a internship, you are not even sure what you really want to do at an
yeah,
early stage of your PhD,
yeah.
right? And your research question is also not defined, so you don't really know what kind of career goal you would, because many people, for many people, they would like to get into a career which kind of aligns with the research that they are doing currently in their PhD.
Right.
What about those people who are thinking about, getting into academia after PhD, like in the job of faculty, So what according to you, your personal opinion about, whether internship can help them, or if yes, then what kind of internship would rather? Yeah.
Uh, so from, like, what I've gathered based on so we've had a series of, like, candidate talks, because my department was recently hiring
Mm-hmm.
for our department.
Uh-huh.
So um, and, like, they would send out these feedback forms, like, after the talk to the PhD students, to just, like, get a sense of, like, how good the candidate is.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't find that industrial experience per se was important at all. But even, I mean, obviously, if it contributed to their research, it would show in their talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that would be helpful in proving that they are a good researcher. But I'm not sure, like, explicitly what sort of internships uh, were like even indirectly favored in those candidates. So
Mhm.
like, I know it's important to have a good research profile. It's important to have teaching experience. Uh,
Mhm.
I was actually like maybe you could answer this for me because
Mhm.
I'm at the point where maybe considering getting a postdoc to just to keep building my research profile instead of jumping
Mhm.
straight into the industry. But I'm
Right.
actually not sure how to go about picking it. So yeah, I don't think I don't have a good answer for that one.
So I personally, what I feel, Harshita, I feel like, there are many other types of internships, not just industrial internship in that way, because you can actually go and do internship and depending upon your discipline, because if we have to broaden ourselves from computer science or engineering or to social sciences or humanities and other kind of sciences or management or something like that, we feel like there are a lot of internship opportunities in NGOs or in government,
Right.
right? And also, much of that's one thing that we need to make people understand that it's not just corporate or internship. Internship may also involve other kind of internships as well. And another, I don't know, because there is another third angle to internship, which is that you actually go and work on an allied problem or the same problem in some with some other research group, which can be in semi academic or academic in nature as well. It might also happen that you go for a summer and you go and work with a particular research group on a very allied problem or maybe the same problem, and you just uh, with a continual collaboration with your own supervisor, and you go to this other group, you live with them, you work with them, gain some experience. So that can also be a different kind of ideas coming in, at an academic setting also. So that may also be a kind of an internship. The other thing that I wanted to emphasize over here is that you know, uh, even if you are going for a corporate internship and then you want to go for academia, I still see some value in it. Why? It's not just about getting the job, but while you are in the job, when you will be supervising PhD students, and also when you will be leading projects, many of the projects might actually be quite applied because most researchers work in applied domains, right? In most of the research topics are very applied, and then you get a whole different perspective into how what are the issues that corporate research or how corporate research works, the process itself. You can actually definitely take a hell lot from the process of doing research. I mean, that's immensely valuable, like how you stage projects and how you do project management at the research level, and how you can make sure that you are doing something that might actually produce certain things, certain tangible output, right? Even within a very academic setup. So
True.
that's another thing that I think I have always seen that working, having a corporate experience helps a lot in multiple different ways. Also, a lot of times what happens, the significance of your research question, or it becomes a lot more clear and a lot more detailed as to why this research question is even important to be solved. And I think that is another thing that because I take it from my own, I can tell you from my own experience. I've never done corporate internship ever in my PhD, and while doing racks, and I've never been in corporate ever, but while being racks and while actually creating a corporate environment myself and learning on the go, and then only I can actually have a lot better idea of the details of why the problems that I was solving before, why they actually they are so important, and not just that, the depth of those problems also became a lot more clearer for me. The nitty gritties of those problems, and where things can actually go wrong when you try to scale up your algorithms or scale up your approach, and what is feasible even and what is not feasible, right? So those are the things that became those things became very very clear to me. So yeah, so you will definitely, even if you are more into academia, I personally feel that internship, even corporate internship, would be a lot of help. You get something out of it, and nothing, if not nothing, then the process of doing research. So yeah.
Yeah, my advisor himself, he did his postdoc at
Mhm.
Microsoft Research, and he did do multiple internships as well, and that does help now. Like he has connections in like
Right.
those different teams, and he's able to like occasionally when we need resources from the industry, we're able to get them, and also he's able to like make introductions and
Mhm.
uh, like get funding, and it
Right.
generally is a nice experience to work with him for this reason as well. So
Right.
uh, yeah, it does help for at least for
It
your
helps.
advisor.
It helps. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to discuss, Harshita, was before we close in for tonight, was that time management, right? So when you are in your internship, and you always have this nagging thing that, hey, somewhere I've paused my academic research, my PhD somewhere, and I'm doing this. So and then you go back to that particular work. So what do you think? Like, what are the things that what are the suggestions you will give to our viewers tonight about those red alerts, or things that one should be careful about when one is actually going into an internship? Otherwise, things might actually become messy, backfire, sort of.
Okay. So I think I mean, again, it depends. It varies
Yeah,
from
right.
person to person, like how their working style is. But I found that working on two research problems at the same time does not really work out well, at least for me. So, like the semester before my first internship, I tried to do that. Like I was doing a rotation project with another professor,
Mhm.
but I also committed to doing a project with my advisor, which was like
That was in your first year or second year?
second year. So like with courses and teaching and two research
Mhm.
projects, it just became too much, and it led to a lot of like stress and not very good performance on my part, and
Mhm.
like it was like it was disappointing and frustrating for my advisor because he
Yeah.
like we had this conversation then where he told me, you should just say no if you can't do something, and he then advised me to like so I was sort of planning to like maybe start working on Alexa Price while my internship was
Mhm.
going on, even though I wasn't going to be funded by Emory, so it wasn't an obligation, but it was
Mhm.
something I hope to do just to, use my time more. And he was like, just no, don't do it because it's important to make a good impression at Microsoft. It's important to get the most out of that experience, right? So, again, it's up to you. I mean, I do know of people who are able to like switch between tasks much better than I do. Like especially if you're an experienced researcher, sure. But I would say don't put pressure on yourself to
Right.
do the thing if you don't feel it's working out well. Yeah, and yeah, just try not to worry about your thesis while you're at the internship. And if you're anything like me, you won't, like you will you'll be learning so much. And especially if it's a research organization, there will be like other people presenting their work, and you'll be getting to know about like how that organization does research, so you won't feel like at least your learning has stopped. So yeah, I mean, I don't have like tips for managing time beyond that, other than just,
Right. Right.
don't take up more than you
Hmm.
can manage, and it's okay if you can't do what other people are doing, right?
So sort of trying to understand oneself
Yeah,
a little bit as to like, am I a multitasking kind of a person or am I not?
yeah,
And I think another point, Arshita, is very interesting that you need to know exactly when your internship is going to start and how much of the target that you set for your academic research, like you need to finish finish it like you need to know that if my internship is starting after 3 months, then where do I need to stand before I join the internship, in terms of my current work that I'm doing, and where do I, when I come back from my internship, where do I start from? Because and there has to be certain milestone that you should strive to achieve before you leave for the internship, I guess.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, like luckily for me, that was managed by my advisor. Like he would just constantly remind me that you have this internship coming up, so
Hmm.
you must resubmit this paper before you go,
Yeah.
because once you have that break, like it's really hard to come back
Right.
to it. So, yeah, I
Right.
did.
So that problem of unfinished work, dangling sort of, while you go into an internship, and it becomes very difficult then to actually attend to those unfinished yet urgent work, right? So we need to make sure that we piece the time, and that is where another thing, you have to know that this is the time when the internship is starting, and you have to know that these are the most important things that you have to get done before you join the internship. So that is very important. Otherwise, don't mess up with. I would not suggest messing up with your actual PhD research work, and just keep a lot of important things dangling out there, and then going there and then coming back, and you wouldn't even be. It's very difficult to continue back. Once there are a lot of things that are just unfinished.
Yeah,
Because the momentum is lost.
yeah, and like the nagging does feel really. I
Yeah.
mean, like mentally, it becomes hard when you feel like there's something you haven't done well enough.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Puts more pressure on the internship because you already
Yeah.
feel like you're not doing
And you're
well.
not going to enjoy the internship as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing. Okay, so it was really nice having Harshita tonight, and we did we could kind of touch upon some of the points that I always wanted to discuss. And internship is something that a lot of people get into this dilemma and confusion as to whether to do, whether not to do, what is the right time, what is not the right time, what kind of internship should I go for, and what kind of internship may actually be so off my topic that it might, I might not be able to, convert that into something which is meaningful for my future career. So I hope that a lot of that issues we covered. And if you have any questions, then what the best thing is to join our Discord community. And at Discord, what we are doing is that we are actually discussing all these important issues, and we can also discuss these things more at more specific level, one on one with me. Or there are other senior researchers and junior researchers who are joining there and who are helping each other out. So I would love Harshita also to join our Discord community and to keep helping sometimes whenever you get some time to help our the students. There are primary students over there. So and we're trying to make a chill club on that platform. So for those people who are yet to find us out, the Discord link. I'm just sharing that over here, both on YouTube as well as on Crowdcast. Yeah. So, and Harshita, thanks a lot for giving us the time. And it was so nice to have you, on the platform in the community. So.
Uh, yeah, thank you for having me, and I hope this was helpful because
Yeah, yeah, surely. And we will try to come up with more topics in the future, and hopefully, depending upon how Harshita is timed and placed, we would like to bring her back with some more interesting topics, which would be very useful for many of our students, the student community primarily over here. And stay very safe, everyone. Take extremely good care of yourself and your family. And have a very good night. Bye. Bye, Harshita.